Calling this wonderful event, Ramaga, already to order, and the Pledge of Allegiance, I think, is going to be led by one of the students, right, Mrs. Wood?
Cole Harris, 5th grade Sea Lion leader, will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem. Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we welcome our Sea Lion Choir under the direction of Rebecca Bassage, our amazing music teacher, and our Sea Lion Chorus is going to sing the national anthem.
That was awesome. Great job. Okay, Miss Tina, roll call.
Mr. Fayette.
Here.
Mrs. Catulli.
Here.
Mr. Forehand.
Here.
Mrs. Hill.
Barely here.
And Mrs. Davidson.
Here.
Okay, we're going to adopt the agenda for this meeting.
Mr. President, I would like to have to do an adaptation of the agenda. I would move that we take agenda item 3, the recess, and put it between 2C and D, which is after we acknowledge our Teacher of the Year.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passed 5-0. Okay, now we're moving on to our workshop. Ms. Reed.
Thank you so much, President Forehand. It really is my honor this evening to welcome the esteemed principal of McGaw Elementary School, Mrs. Wendy Wood, to the podium.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President, esteemed members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Pulver, Executive Cabinet, community members, and our Sea Lion community. Thank you for being here tonight. I'd like to start just by saying thank you. Mr. Larson and I are both very honored to work for this district and to be here tonight, highlighting, showcasing, and celebrating McGaw Elementary School. We both feel truly blessed and are thankful every day. And I am also extremely grateful to have Mr. Larson leading alongside of me. Please stand, Mr. Larson. Tonight, we have two outstanding fifth grade Sea Lion leaders that are going to help highlight McGaw, Giuseppe De La Torre and Paige Newberg. Come on up.
Good evening, Board President Mr. Forhan, board members, Superintendent Dr. Pulver, and community members. My name is Giuseppe De La Torre.
And I am Paige Newberg, and we are honored and excited to be here tonight to highlight McGaw Elementary. To kick things off, we will start with all that McGaw has to celebrate.
Every day is a celebration at McGaw, the school by the sea. Working as a partnership, the McGaw staff is committed to developing the artistic, academic, social, emotional, and physical well-being of all children. We believe that all children can learn at elevated levels when there are high expectations, rigorous standards, and caring, involved teachers.
Every day, we celebrate raw behavior, where sea lions earn Robux for exhibiting responsibility, awareness of others in our surroundings, and honorable in our thoughts and words. Raw McGaw!
CASP is one of the many pieces of data we use to drive instruction. This year, we're using the results of our CASP data as one of the many metrics in guiding instruction and intervention opportunities at McGaw. Although we haven't seen this data since 2019, we are using this year's data as a baseline on what we need to focus on for students to be successful here at McGaw. With that being said, as educators, we work together to continuously refine and improve our teaching practices, monitor student achievement, and differentiate instruction based on individual student needs. Over the past 2 years, McGaw has had an instructional focus of reading and small group instruction. Through 2 Coatson grants, we've brought back lab study classrooms and a coaching model. Last year, we partnered with our district TOSA, Reading TOSA, Evan Grandin, and this year we've partnered with Read, Write, Think for professional development in the area of small group instruction, reading and writing, and a focus on lesson designs that can be used across all subjects. In addition, McGaw has 11 teachers that are participating in the Los Alamitos Year 1 through 5 PD offered through Education Services. Teachers have the amazing opportunity to learn district signature practices and so much more. First instruction and high achievement are at the forefront of our mission and vision at McGaw. Our teachers are diving into the new ELA adoption of HMH, signature practices of reading and writing workshop, as well as depth and complexity icons, and CGI math are weaved throughout our day. Whole class instruction or mini lessons are where first instruction begins. Students then move into partner work, small group instruction, and individualized one-on-one instruction based on informal and formal assessments and anecdotal notes. If you were to walk into a McGaw classroom, you would see highly engaged students, you would hear academically rich conversations, and you would feel a love for learning. Our SURF Lab offers a systematic, structured reading intervention program in grades K through 2nd. Our SURF Lab teachers also offer after-school intervention for all grades in reading and math. Kindergarten teachers offer after-school intervention through our Kinder Club. And finally, our PE instructional aid allows us to provide small group instruction across all grade levels.
McGaw is an inclusive campus where we celebrate all sea lions. Our green team leads the initiative of sorting and recycling trash at lunch. Our 5th grade Sea Lion leadership leads our daily morning announcements, act as ambassadors, act as media center assistants, office assistants, and kindness crew. We also celebrate our military community at McGaw with 95 military families in attendance. we celebrate through Week of the Military Child in April and the Veterans Day celebration in November. Our PTA works with us to celebrate healthy habits through Red Ribbon Week, partnered with OC Fire and Seal Beach Police Department.
We love YOSA. After the last 3 years, it has been imperative that we support and encourage social and emotional growth. A huge thank you to our district office and the Board of Education for the additional days a week for individual site wellness counselors and school psychologists. McGaw's wellness counselor, Tina Herron, brings excitement to our SEL monthly lessons and engaging songs and activities. Our wellness counselor also holds social skills groups and individual counseling sessions. Through the support of LAIF and McGaw PTA, McGaw has a beautiful wellness space where students also come 3 days a week during their recess. With the additional days of school psychologists on site, we have a total of 10 social skills and executive functioning groups servicing over 28 students. McGaw is also lucky to partner with our military liaison, who supports us by providing a military counselor on campus 5 days a week. Ms. Zanette offers services to over 100 students currently. And together we hold many events like Unity Day and Kindness Day.
Through the arts, McGaw students are connected every day. The amazing Miss Samari leads our STEM lab, where TK to 5th grade students are able to participate in hands-on experiences directly aligned to grade level curriculum. Sea Lions in 1st to 5th grade attend a weekly music lesson where Miss Bassett teaches reading music notes, movement, singing, and playing various musical instruments. This year, our course has had the largest number of Sea Lions ever, with over 86 students. And all students in TK to 5th grade attend Art Weekly with Miss Anya. Each year, Miss Anya works with the pageant team to solidify an artist that will be highlighted in the classroom, and the artistic techniques will be practiced in the art lab. That artist is then featured in our annual Pageant of the Arts, led by McGaw's 2nd grade teacher, Miss Leslie Obert. This year, we celebrated the 40th anniversary, where we featured Vasily Kandinsky. Many McGaw alumni came to celebrate.
We actively engage our parents and community in our efforts to make McGaw an exceptional place for students to learn. McGaw wouldn't be the same without 2 amazing, incredible parent groups, our PTA and our Project Seek. Throughout the year, our PTA works tirelessly to help fundraise for our Sea Lion community. We work hand in hand to make dreams come true for our Sea Lions. Our PTA held its annual carnival and 2nd annual jogathon, where between the 2 events, they've raised over $100,000 to support field trips, assemblies, a book machine, a wellness room, temporary lunch covers, academic books, as well as our gesture program. Our gestures visit Sea Lions on their birthday to read a book. PTA also supports our annual Come Walk in My Shoes Day, which provides an avenue for students to explore the world of individuals who live with physical and/or developmental challenges. McGaw's International Culture Club is also known as the ICC, which is a branch of our PTA. The ICC hosts an annual ICC Day where students visit 6 countries where they are completely immersed in that country's culture. They also sponsored a Lunar New Year celebration through our Global Foundation. Project Seek works year-round to help fundraise our STEM lab and the art program at McGaw. We just held our annual Seek event this past Friday. The theme of the auction was the Met Gala Enchanted Garden. And to continue to celebrate the 40th anniversary of our pageant, we had backdrops all through the event highlighting artists from the past. It was a beautiful evening working with our community to celebrate the arts at McGaw. LAIF is also a huge partnership. They consistently donate to our wellness center, provide grants, and we're lucky to have LAIF partner with us and oversee and partially fund our art program at McGaw. We also partner with community affiliates through our Seal Beach Run, our Seal Beach Police Department, the Orange County Philharmonic, and many, many more. McGaw has been lucky enough to make several site improvements throughout the campus. We have newly installed solar panels, both in our teachers' parking lot, as well as our kindergarten yard. Many additional games have been painted throughout the campus for students to engage in imaginative play. And thank you to the district for the additional pin pad for a faster lunch service at McGaw and more time for our sea lions to enjoy their lunch. We've added signage at our drop-off and pickup spots around campus for the safety of our sea lion students and families. And finally, we added some epoxy to some specific areas in our main hallway just to help with a little traction control. We're grateful for the many site improvements that have been made at McGaw this year.
A commitment to education is a commitment to the whole child in celebrating raw behaviors. McGaw Sea Lions bring on the spirit by celebrating College Days and Friday Spirit Days. Many of our Seal Beach community members walk and bike to school, but we love coming together as a whole community and partner with Seal Beach Police Department on Walk and Bike to School Day. At McGaw, we know how important it is to partner with our families and academics. Last year, we held our first annual Family Math Night. Families joined our teachers in learning math games they can play at home to build math fluency and number sense. Every day, a Sea Lion is awarded the A for a Day, where we celebrate excelling in one or all of the 6 A's: academics, athletics, activities, and attendance. Plus, we give A for a Day swag and a front-of-the-line lunch pass. While we applaud and recognize citizenship and academic achievement, we are also taking the time to celebrate and honor character. Sea Lion assemblies are celebrated 4 times a year, where students are awarded for academics, reading, writing, and math, character development, seal of approval in heart and soul, and the arts, music, art, and STEM. This year, we also made memories with McGaw Life Teacher of the Year, Lisa McClellan, and Los Alamitos Unified Teacher of the Year, Cheryl Smith.
At McGaw, we work to uphold regular and consistent communication with our families. We work to keep our families informed through our Parent Square, which can include email or dial-outs, where I call and leave them messages. They just love that, I'm sure. We also partner with PTA and have a weekly McGaw Connect that goes out every Sunday. Included in our McGaw Connect is our new Sea Lion Splash video that Mr. Larson has brought to McGaw, which we're going to be highlighting for you next. And finally, check us out on Instagram at McGaw Sea Lions.
Our Sea Lion Splash Pit video, put together by Mr. Larson each week, highlights upcoming events, playground rules, reminders, and kindness initiatives. It is played in the classrooms on Monday morning. Please enjoy the special episode of the Sea Lion Splash.
And now it's time for the Sea Lion Splash. Welcome to McGaw Elementary School, the school by the sea.
This is a place where we celebrate academic success,
kindness, and collaboration.
We know that by working hard today, we can have a brighter future.
McGaw Sea Lions show up on time and accept the challenge to learn new things.
We strive to be our very best each and every day.
Our scholars get to take risks and be celebrated for trying.
It's a place where you can make a huge impact no matter how long you've been a student here.
We are so excited to have you along for the journey.
There you have it, McGaw. Now remember, listen to your teachers, follow instructions from your parents, take a risk, and I'll see you on campus.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Board of Education, Executive Cabinet, our 2 student speakers, Sea Lion Chorus, classified, certificated staff here tonight, and thank you to our Sea Lion community for being here tonight and for all of your support.
Do we have any, Marlis? Okay, Mrs. Davidson.
Marlis is fine. I just wanted to say thank you, kids. You are absolutely fabulous. That is a very difficult song, and we sing it with such pride, and you sang it with beauty. You were poised. You did a great job, so thank you. And Paige and Giuseppe, you were amazing. Paige, when you said that McGaw celebrates the whole child, I think that's just the bottom line. Because when you walk on campus, every activity isn't simply planned for the kids so that they can participate in the end result. When I went to Pageant of the Masters this year, I was completely stunned at the beauty of the backdrops of the paintings, and they're not professionally done. The kids work on them all year long. They're deeply vested in every single thing they do. And the way that you celebrate diversity, military families, everything that you do goes back into the classroom, because when you walk in the classroom, the kids are joyful in their learning. They're working together, they're smiling, they're curled up in a little ball reading books, but they love what they're doing. And that's because of the administration, staff, families, and most of all the kids that put your hearts into creating a family, a big giant family that is really celebrated at McGaw. So it's an honor to be on a board that has a school like yours. Thank you, thank you.
Mrs. Wood and Mr. Larson, you obviously are a very strong team, and I love that, and I love your collaboration. I adore that you are such a community school. You so embrace Seal Beach and the community around, and it embraces you, and I think that makes it so strong and wonderful. And I did get to hear about your very successful event on Friday night, so you've got amazing parents that really support you, and thank you. And kids, you're just so good. I really appreciate it. I can't believe you're the biggest choir they've ever had. That's just amazing. Thank you very much.
Ms. Catulli.
Well, following Mrs. Davidson, Mrs. Hill, they already took some of the things I'd taken notes on. But I do want to say that McGaw truly is a community school. It really is. And when people talk about a community school, you need to have a sense of an entire community where everybody is vested. And the school is truly like a home plate for everyone. Your kids go there, you see your friends there, you use the facilities for baseball and soccer and things like that. And everybody's there for McGaw and in the whole community, Main Street and down everywhere. So it really is truly unusual, and we take advantage of that. I'm saying we because my kids went there and my grandkids. So it is, we take advantage of it, and we all become part of this incredible tight-knit community. And the inclusivity is just admirable. Everybody feels welcomed, everyone is welcomed, and everyone is taken from where they are, and we're all going to go forward, maybe not at the same pace, but we're all going forward, and we're all making good things. The power of yet. So, and then I do also want to, the student speakers, you guys were fabulous. Thank you so much. You really showed off. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah. And Mr. Larson, you are a man of so many talents. Here I thought you were DJ Larson, and now you're Video Larson. So, but that was a really heartwarming video. And what was obviously, to me, the most fantastic things about that was the joy on the children's faces and how they wanted to be in that video. So thank you so much. Great job.
Mr. Fayette?
Yeah, just quickly to reiterate what my colleagues have said, it's really the heart of the community down there, from the basketball court to playing volleyball in the gym to the pool to the tennis courts. It's really the heart of that community, and everyone comes there to come together. So thank you so much for doing such a great job, such wonderful leadership, the staff, and of course, the students. So thank you for making it such a wonderful, welcoming, inclusive place.
I agree, I agree, I agree, and I agree. Ra McGaw. Oh, Andrew, okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, tonight's definitely a night of some firsts. I think that I just wanted to acknowledge that I hope are the first of many. So congratulations. It's obvious. I can't believe that it hasn't even been a year, Mrs. Wood, that you and Rick have been really the leadership team at McGaw. What a difference it is to see the dynamic energy that you bring. And I know the staff really rallies behind that as well. And your first board report tonight of what I hope is many of the McGaw reports. But you know, one of the things that we often say, and I would certainly echo everything that all of you have said, is that the hallmark of this district are the people. And I think when you take a look at a presentation in a night like tonight, where we're really celebrating the community of Seal Beach and the school by the sea, McGaw Elementary, and we see such amazing people, where we started off with these talented students, both singing and who are presenting tonight flawlessly as our student speakers. They did an excellent job from our administration who presented, but really about our staff who are present here today. I love that our staff just come together and rally behind our youth to do everything they can to help support them. And as you can see, McGaw really signifies a school who believes in all things are possible for students. When we talk about igniting unlimited possibilities, it's really trying to find a myriad of ways to connect and engage our students, and that all students are welcome. I love how McGaw has really been a leader for us and many of our other campuses with our culture club and with inclusion. And I love just some of the things you had talked about as well, Mrs. Wood, how the teachers are continuing to always want to perfect their craft. And the grants that you have written and others have written to create lab study classrooms. I love that word. I jotted that down. And I love how you take a look at using your theme of your surf lab and really that there are fun ways to really help support all of our students to ensure that they thrive. So I'm just so proud. If I couldn't wait to see you guys all tonight. And it is great to be a Seal Beach Lion. Ra McGaw, congratulations.
I agree. All right, Ms. Wood, you're back on now.
All right, thank you so much. I have the pleasure of presenting McGaw's Hero of the Heart tonight. So before I get started, Mr. Miller, will you come join me up here? Giving of oneself for the purpose of making a difference for those around you is the definition of the spirit of volunteerism, and Mr. Steve Miller definitely personifies the spirit of giving, and that is why it is with great joy and pleasure that the McGaw staff and community honor you with the 2023 Hero of the Heart Award. He just loves this stuff. Steve has spent the last 6 years as a true servant leader for McGaw. He began at McGaw when his 5th grade daughter, Jocelyn, started here in kindergarten, and he has continued to support up until today. Over the past 6 years, Steve has been heavily involved in McGaw. He cares so much about our school and every sea lion. He's taken on countless roles and jobs, not only raising significant funds, but also making as many opportunities as possible accessible and fun for kids. It shows through all the special relationships he has on our campus, Mr. Anku, our custodial staff, our teachers, former and current PTA members, our office, the district, and more. As an administrator at McGaw over the last 4 years, I've had the honor to work alongside Steve and watch him volunteer and support our PTA Carnival, our International Culture Club Day, He coordinated our first jogathon and this year our first color run. He's orchestrated and put together a run club for our students after school, and then volunteering at the Kids Run OC. He's coordinated our field day, he's led our book fair, family fun night, and this year he's acting as a member of our 5th grade activities committee. But in addition, he's just coordinated countless activities that always resulted in the benefit of children. He is a nonstop, hands-on everything. In addition to all of this, Steve brings to our school community a can-do attitude, a great positive attitude, and a heart filled with the love of McGaw. We're super proud to call Steve Miller our Hero of the Heart. So we have a very special Hero of the Heart plaque that we keep up on the wall in our office, and we've added you here. So this will be up on the office wall, continuing to honor you and all of our previous Heroes of the Heart. And then we also have a certificate for you. Congratulations.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. I think every volunteer knows that it's definitely a family effort. My daughter Jocelyn has been on the baseball fields with me before sunrise, setting up fit-a-thons, jog-a-thons, field days, all that stuff. So she's here tonight. And then my wife, Arwen, her and I have been up at 11 o'clock at night and putting items up for auction in BidPal. And she has definitely been there every step of the way, like doing all this fun stuff. So Arwen and Jocelyn. Lastly, I want to say that my kindergarten year, they have open house, or like, I guess back to school night really early. So I signed up for room parent. And nobody told me that it's room mom, not room parent. So I get in I go in the auditorium the first time, and there's 40 moms just who care nothing more about anything than making sure that McGaw is the best place possible and that our kids have a chance. And I was truly inspired. I was sitting in the very back. I think one of the moms actually said, "There's a room dad here," and you know, that brought attention to it. But ever since that day, I've just been inspired to continue to keep being involved and to keep making sure that McGaw and every child at McGaw has the best opportunity possible. So it's been an absolute pleasure. I am forever grateful to every parent, every administrator, every teacher that I've had the pleasure of working with. And it's been a really, really fun and enlightening 6 years. So thank you.
Now they want me to speak into the mic. We have no budget, but our highest honor is this medal. And on the medal, it says, "You make a difference." So thank you very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to say, it seems like every time I'm on campus, I see Steve. So I thought he worked for us for a while.
Okay, moving on, we're going to move on to Teacher of the Year recognition, and Dr. Pulver. Yes.
I need the whistle. Well, good evening. It is such a pleasure to be able to be here tonight. And, you know, we are getting to recognize our Teacher of the Year, who is Miss Cheryl Smith. So I need you up here, Miss Cheryl Smith. Oh, yeah, let's do it. I'm sure this is just one of many celebrations to recognize Cheryl. As a district in Orange County, when we compete through go through the county and the state Teacher of the Year program, due to our size, they only allow us to recognize one Teacher of the Year from the district. And so, I want to really spotlight this amazing individual. If you think about, we have probably over 400 certificated employees, the bulk of which are teachers. And to be able to signal a single individual is no easy task. And yet when we think of Cheryl Smith, it just made it exceptionally simple and easy. Cheryl is just a dedicated, exceptional employee. She's been with our district since the year 2000. I think 23 years, if I'm doing math correctly. It's friendly math because it ends in zeros, right? She started off at Weaver Elementary in the preschool program, and then I believe spent 11 or 12 years there, and about the same, a little bit more at McGaw Elementary. And whether she's teaching a special day autism class, a special day class, or a collaborative class where you're working with gen ed students and mirroring together with students with diverse needs, you are just exceptional, because I think what you do is you always have the student's best interest at heart. You are one who goes above and beyond, and I think you really believe that you're going to work as hard as you can as if they're your own kids. And as a mom, she really wants to make sure that she can provide the best opportunities, not only for her students, for your kids, but for any child that you interact with. Cheryl is also just a servant leader. There are many leaders in this world, and you don't have to have a certain role or a certain title to be considered a leader. And you're just a servant leader, and for so many. She's an incredible collaborator and partner to work with at McGaw. I know your fellow colleagues would say the same. Your teacher partner would say the same as well. Your parents. She's a leader within our special education team as well. Has always come together to help find creative ways to solve solutions, and always solution oriented, and just a district leader as well. And so she stepped outside of her classroom in so many different roles, but really it's always about advocating for what's best for students and what's best to truly make a difference in this world. So Cheryl, you are exceptional. We love you. You go above and beyond, and she makes things look easy, and I know they're not. She puts in an enormous amount of time, an enormous amount of resources. At times, I'm sure that affect your home as well, but it is really just this labor of love. And when we think about educators and what they're here and the difference that they make, it really is this labor of love to impart upon our wonderful youth. So I'm the one of a few others who are going to speak on your behalf, and then you get to speak. So I'm sure the crowd's going to cheer for you along each way. Congratulations, Cheryl. We love you. I can't think of a better 2023 Teacher of the Year.
I agree. I agree totally. Cheryl, on behalf of the Board of Education, congratulations. Having been a teacher myself, you are a gift to our profession. So thank you on behalf of the board for all you do for kids. It's just wonderful. Okay, next.
When I think of Cheryl Smith, there's three things I think of: a love for learning, a love of learners, and a love for bringing the two together. Working alongside her over these last 4 years has been an absolute pleasure, and I can't think of anyone I couldn't be more proud of. Congratulations.
I think one of my favorite, if not my most favorite times of the year is now, and when we get to celebrate employees, because it is really hard work, what our educators do, and the sacrifice you make for your family. I'm sitting watching your family, and I understand that as somebody that's in education as well. So for you to be chosen as the District Teacher of the Year speaks volumes to the kind of educator that you are. And when we say all means all, you personify that. So congratulations. And on behalf of the district, we'd like to present you with this little award.
Oh, I see what.
speech.
Here we go. I did come prepared. President Forehand, esteemed members of the board, Dr. Pulver, Executive Cabinet, family and friends, and everyone else here today. Thank you for this incredible honor. I'm humbled to be named our district's Teacher of the Year. It is a privilege to have the opportunity to work with such a dedicated and passionate group of educators and administrators. The work we do isn't always easy, but it sure is rewarding. I have worked and continue to work with some pretty amazing teams of people. Many of you have served as mentors to me, lent me a listening ear, partnered with me, encouraged me, and celebrated with me. To my original Weaver family, thank you for helping to shape me into the educator I am today. I am eternally grateful for your support and mentorship in my early years as a teacher. I also became a Mrs. and a mom in my time with you, so that created some pretty special bonds. To my McGaw family, you are a constant source of inspiration and support. I love our school and the teamwork that is always on display. Together, we have created a safe and nurturing environment where all students can learn and grow. The School by the Sea really is the place to be. To all of my special ed peeps, preschool to adult transition, it is an honor to partner with all of you and do the work that we do. It is an incredible feeling to collaborate with a multitude of specialists, all working towards the common goal of giving our students the best educational experience. McGaw will always be a special place for me because beyond being a teacher here, I was also a parent there for many, many years. Oh, how I miss the days when all four of us Smiths were at McGaw. To my children, Riley and Braden, thank you for being the incredible human beings that you are. Thank you for sharing your parents so unselfishly with hundreds of other children over the years. Thank you for the countless hours you've spent on our classrooms while we told you we just had to finish one more thing. Famous last words, right? You inspire me every day to be the type of teacher that I always want for the both of you. A teacher who supports, who challenges, who makes connections, who laughs, who cries, and who inspires you. I'm so proud to call the both of you mine. Oh, and I also need to thank you for donating all your old books and toys to my classroom, although it wasn't always with your permission. To my spouses, yes, that was plural. First, my work wife, Lindsay, the other half of Team Smartner. I am forever grateful for being paired with you 8 years ago. Working in partnership with you has been a highlight of my teaching career. I'm so proud of the work we have done together and continue to do together. I could not do this job without you. And to my husband, Damien, nobody gets me like you do. How lucky am I to share a passion for helping children with you. Your never-ending support and love keeps me grounded and focused on what's most important in life. Thank you for being my rock. To the rest of my family and dearest friends, especially those of you here tonight, thank you for your unwavering support and for always believing in me. You are my biggest cheerleaders. I also want to thank you for understanding and forgiving me when I seem to disappear, especially during certain parts of the school year. My philosophy of teaching is rooted in making connections and building relationships, particularly with my students and their families. Thank you, parents, for partnering with me and trusting me with your children through the years. I love celebrating every little success with you, encouraging you when times are tough, and getting to be a part of your child's journey. Finally, I would like to thank my students. You are the driving force that inspires me daily to be the best teacher I can be. You are the reason I come to work every day. I hope to inspire you to dream big, be confident learners while keeping kindness in your hearts. In closing, I would like to express my deepest gratitude for being selected as Los Alamitos Unified's Teacher of the Year. It motivates me to continue to put in the work to help my students be the best possible versions of themselves. Thank you once again for this incredible honor.
Okay, that was awesome. Well, kids, we're to the point where we're going to take a recess, but guess what? There's cookies out there. As long as your parents say it's okay, you can grab a cookie, right?
Yes, but
After
first we'd like to get
pictures.
some pictures. So we'd like to take pictures of our students who led the Pledge of Allegiance and who were our student speakers, our Okay, we're going to return, but do a countdown for YouTube.
Okay, welcome back. We're now going to move on to facilities update.
Mr. President, I don't know if you want to, but if people are waiting, we're welcome to do the public, if the board wants to move the public comments on the agenda up, or do you want to do them
No,
at the
I'd
end?
rather they
I just
didn't
don't want to
have
have to make them wait for another hour.
We okay with that, guys?
So
Yeah,
you'll just
okay.
probably need to do a formal vote to move.
Modify the agenda to move up the public comment section to now.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. The board welcomes input from the public. This is an opportunity for community members to address the board. Persons wishing to address the board should complete a speaker request card prior to the start of each meeting. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Public comment is limited to a total of 30 minutes. We just have one card. Comment cards can be submitted to the district office anytime after 9 a.m. the day of the board meeting, and will also be accepted at the start of the board meeting. A speaker may not relinquish her or his time to another. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to address the board from the podium, state their name, and adhere to time limits. The board may not take any action or discuss any item not appearing on the posted agenda and cannot immediately respond to public comments. Speakers are cautioned that under California law, no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments regarding any person simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. So I'd love to welcome Alana Vasquez. Is that correct, Alana? Yeah.
Is this, oh, okay. Honorable board members, my name is Alana Vasquez, and I'm currently a junior at LaSalle High. And I've been here for the past 2 years in support of ethnic studies, which I'm currently in. Today, I don't intend to discuss the beautiful impact of the class on a first-generation Mexican Filipina student. However, I intend to address the indifference the district has shown against no discrimination that students of color endure. 3 times now, I have stood here in front of each of you sharing how minority status affects the LaSalle experience. Every time I have mentioned my past. However, I failed to cover the lack of action the district took after I came forward. Only 1 year ago, I felt comfortable enough to speak to a trusted teacher about my struggles. I walked in her room and cried while telling her my story, right in the place where I was supposed to feel safe. The month of March 2021, it was filled with endless meetings with administration to discuss how to approach the copious amounts of bullying I endured over the course of 2 years. Once they were aware of the intense discrimination, the other student was not removed from a shared class. I had to bear the burden of shifting my schedule and talking to other counselors, all to make myself feel safe in my own classroom, to be safe from discrimination that I faced daily. In that shared class, I would feel so defeated that I would sit at my desk on the brink of tears every day, struggling to get my work done. The things said to me weren't just words, they shook me to the core, puncturing multiple layers deep and causing me to lose sight of myself. After reviewing my GPA, attendance records, and even more evidence from the previous semester, the negative impacts were glaring in the face of a perfect freshman year. As far as I know, the other student had invisible consequences, and my family was plagued with taking the initiatives to ensure my safety. Therefore, I returned to my focus, the lack of action of the district to address discrimination. My issue was not lack of evidence. In fact, I had extensive documentation of discrimination against me, even still with explicit comments, audio, and testimony of events that occurred at school. The district did not adequately support me. In fact, it was my trusted teacher that provided support. To her, I thank you. To the district as a whole, do better. Now, how many more times will I have to come here and explain the impact of discrimination on students of color? How many more times will we be devoid of opportunities to succeed at the hands of discrimination from our peers? So now I demand that this district genuinely care for its students of color instead of stating that you're working on it. If and only then will LaSalle succeed at the 4 A's. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on now to the facilities update. Ms. Felicia.
Good evening, esteemed board members, executive cabinet, and guests. I'm honored to be here today to provide you with a facilities update. CJ and I are going to team tag this presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to CJ.
Thank you. Mr. President, honorable members of the board, thank you for your time this afternoon to give a facilities update. I know it's been a little bit of time. On this update, we're really going to be focusing on the second gymnasium and the classroom renovations that are all taking place at Los Alamitos High School. To just do a recap on where we left off with the second gymnasium, we submitted the DSA on December 9th of 2022. Originally, DSA was planning on getting their review or initial comments back to us by the end of March. Just last week, they revised that expected return date to the end of April. Right now, that we have enough float in our schedule to accommodate this change, where it will not impact the schedule as of now. It is dependent on some of the comments that we received back from DSA, which we don't know yet. The construction for the gym is scheduled to start by the end of summer 2023, and the project is scheduled to take approximately 18 months. In anticipation of the construction of the new gymnasium, we've held a request for qualifications for general contractors where they would submit their qualifications, and we conducted an interview with each firm to develop a qualified panel of who can bid the project. Amongst those 4 contractors, we have Erickson Hall Construction, Keystone Builders, Miller Construction, and Pinner Construction. And with these 4 contractors, we really have a wide range of smaller firms to really large firms. So we should be able to get a real competitive number from these qualified contractors. In addition, in anticipation of construction, we are completing some of our soft cost items, and we are contracting out those soft cost items. For example, some of those include the California Environmental Quality Act report, also known as CEQA. And on our April 4th meeting, we have our special inspections contract that will be going to the board for approval. And our special inspections, what they do is like material testing and testing that's kind of done outside of from the construction site in general. In addition to that, we have our maintenance, storage, and portable relocations, which I'm going to be exploring further in this presentation.
CJ, may I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
For the bids that we've gone out for, are we still looking at doing that through a lease-leaseback?
Correct. It is a lease-leaseback. What I've been starting to call it is a qualified bid. So in the same way that you determine best value with lease-leaseback, we are taking the qualifications from each of these contractors, and then we are doing a request for proposals in May, where each of the 4 contractors will submit a bid or a price for the new gymnasium, and then we're able to take into account that price and the contractor to determine best value. So it's very similar to our traditional lease-leaseback process with a competitive price advantage.
Great. Thank you so much, CJ.
And I also want to just include a larger image of the floor plan and some of the renderings that were previously presented to the board. And as we go into this, I'm able to show one of the things we're working on with the site administrators right now is our scoreboard and our media display board locations. So if you look at the 2 images, you have our west wall on the top and our east wall on the bottom. In the gymnasium, we will have 4 scoreboards, which would have 2 scoreboards for the competition court and then 1 for each practice court. Through working with our architect, we've also looked at different options for the media display board. And one of the recommendations that we received was in lieu of doing a media display board that could be damaged or broken relatively easily by a ball or something hitting it, we were recommended to look into options where we would be able to have a projector display a large image on a blank wall surface. So as I go to the next slide, you can see on those elevations, the dotted outline is where that projector display image would be. And that would be directly behind the competition basketball hoop on either side. So so the media display board would primarily be used during halftime as well. I don't know if they would have moving images or I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but we could. It would be on either side too. So I think the way we have it set up is they'll display the same image or the same video. Also in the center of the court, so if you're sitting in the bleachers, as you look at this rendering, we have screens that are motorized that can roll down to display an image looking face forward as well. So really you'll have center court. Yeah, so if you're in the bleachers looking center, it would the screen would go down and would have a projector with the image there. That will be in sync with the images behind each of the basketball hoops. And in this
remember, this gymnasium could also be used for assemblies on the campus, et cetera. So we're still wanting to get feedback from the site if these options are going to meet their needs. But they're there right now, the recommendations that we've been given. So we're seeking input from the site as well.
So as Andrew was saying, we are reviewing these locations with the site, and we're currently setting up a meeting to give our final approval on the scoreboard locations and the type of scoreboards that we'll be using. Moving on, I wanted to touch on some of the work that is required to be completed before we can start the construction of the gym. And if you recall, we are removing or relocating our 500s portables that are currently in the gymnasium's footprint. Now, to maximize our dollars spent on this project, we are planning on relocating some of these 500 portables to serve as a new maintenance and storage area for the campus. So if you look at the image on the screen, you can see the portable classrooms that are scheduled to be relocated this summer. And then you can also see the containers that we'll be able to remove from the site by repurposing some of these classrooms as storage areas. And this is just some of the containers on the campus, but we're really making an effort to get rid of as many containers as possible. And if we have portable classrooms that could be repurposed into storage, we will have a climatized storage space that would keep whatever we're storing much safer over time. As I was just saying, this new storage area will allow for us to remove approximately 12 containers.
So, hey, CJ, sorry to bother you again. I'm sure you're aware of it, but some of the clubs, particularly the robotics club, are looking for some space. I'm sure when you're talking about the site, talking with the site, you're also getting feedback, I assume, from the various, not only the athletics and the maintenance and those staff, but the clubs and other activities that would be going on. So if they have a possibility to use some of this.
Absolutely. We've had several very comprehensive discussions with all of our boosters and our site administrators on how, when we're removing these portables, if there's another way to repurpose them possibly into storage, how much storage each of these activities actually needs, what we can actually purge, because that's always kind of the tough part, and making sure there's at least enough space for all of our programs.
So do I remember correctly, the portables that we do keep, they've been transformed so they can't be classrooms, right? Because my concern is the charter school issue of empty classrooms. Have these been repurposed so that they could not be a classroom?
They will be configured for storage. So like with higher density shelving along the walls, sectioned off areas for each of the programs that we mentioned. For example, one of the portables that we're relocating, I believe it has about 6 different programs that would like to use that for storage. So we're trying to delineate space within those portables for each of those programs. It would make the room not function as a classroom, essentially.
Yeah, we need to just think of them as not portable classrooms anymore. They're just prefabricated facilities for storage or for maintenance, for operations, etc. Because they're going to be completely repurposed. Some might even have roll-up doors.
Correct. Our maintenance storage, our portables that we're relocating for maintenance will have overhead or roll-up doors.
Our goal is to just maximize our costs using the shell of buildings that we already were going to purge. So why not maximize costs and save some dollars there and then repurpose them?
And with this project, we've known we had to get this done prior to starting construction on the gym. And we've been in contact with DSA, exploring several avenues of what is the best way to go about this project. And one of the things that DSA has agreed to is to hold an over-the-counter appointment, which is nice, where we're able to bring the plans and they will comment and approve them right then and there. So that fits into our schedule where all this work is scheduled to take place in June of 2023. So when in the previous slide, when I was saying the gymnasium construction will be starting at the end of summer, this is the work that will be happening prior to that. And as you look on the screen, that's the maintenance area that is scheduled to be removed. That's in the footprint of the gymnasium as well. So I wanted to highlight where we are relocating these portables. The location is to the north of the tennis courts near the softball fields. So it's approximately 6 portables that will have a fenced off area around 2 of the portables. If you notice the little yellow leaflets, those are the door openings. So you could see where the door openings are on each of these buildings. And this is the designation that we've currently worked with the site on each one. So we would have campus-wide storage on the right-hand side, where the fenced area would be more of our maintenance storage and our maintenance slash yard for the campus, where we store equipment and other things that we need through our routine maintenance. Then on the left-hand side, we have storage that's more designated for athletics, and then athletic storage below that as well, or coaches' offices. We're still coordinating with the site on how they want to use that space.
CJ, the reason you have it fenced off is because you're also going to use the area in front of it for maintenance vehicles or something?
Correct. Yeah, a lot of times, if we go back and we look at the maintenance area that we have currently, a lot of our trucks have to drive right up to those areas and either unload or load. It just provides a safer area if we have it fenced off from walking traffic on campus.
There is some storage over there now, isn't there? There's a fenced off area. I just walked by it the other day and I realized it was a nice blue fence. I couldn't see inside what was there.
I would have to look into that.
I might be thinking of the wrong area.
There is. It's between the other end of the tennis courts, near where you would enter into, across from where you would enter the choir building, and some of the 800 portables that would be directly in front of the.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I don't know if I'd call it storage. It's just outdoor stuff. It's not covered or anything.
Moving on to the second aspect of our gymnasium was the weight room. So just to recap on where we were with the weight room, it's currently being bid as an ad alternate to the project. So what that means is when the contractor is bidding the project, they're going to give us a bid price for the gymnasium and a separate bid price for the weight room. That way we're clearly able to establish what the weight room is going to be valued at and what the gym is going to be valued at. And we can decide if that's something we want to move forward with at that time, or a future time as well. Our most recent estimates for the weight room had it estimated at $2.7 million. It includes an indoor and outdoor fitness area. which totals approximately 4,950 square feet. The interior portion of the weight room is 3,000 square feet. There's full height roll-up doors that are located at each outdoor fitness area to really make it a bigger space and really tie in the outdoor fitness area with the interior fitness area. And as we go through some of the renderings we have that are conceptual from our architect, you can see how we really try to blend that outdoor area in with the indoor portion as well.
And then I just want to remind all of you, remember these estimates are very rough. It was when we were taking a look at the gymnasium, it was already bigger than the scope of the dollars that we had out budgeted. And so we agreed to increase it to 21 million instead of a $20 million. And then we said, should we be doing a 3/4 or not? And so we made some modifications, but we got 3 different builders to give some preliminary, I think it was 3, along with our architects firm who helps give some estimations. So when they're giving these estimations, it's based upon square footage. We really won't know what these true estimates of the costs will be until the plans come back from DSA, and then we actually take them out to bid with real live construction drawings, et cetera. So they did the best they could. So it could be more, it could be less, we don't really know.
So as you look at these conceptual renderings of the weight room, you'll see that there's a wide range of equipment. So one of the questions our architect asked us is, what equipment do you want us to show? We just had them show a range. So any of the equipment you see in these renderings could be swapped out or changed for whatever fits the campus. But one of the things I did want to highlight was the center green area where you see each of the roll-up doors, or you see the far roll-up door, and then on the right, you can imagine there's another roll-up door as well. So when those doors are open, it fully connects to the outdoor area of the weight room. So you have one fluid weight room or workout space that's both covers indoors and outdoors. And this is the view of what it would look like from outside one of those over roll-up doors and through to the next one. Moving on to our next project and ongoing is the classroom renovations. So with this project, it involves quite a bit of coordination and phasing of exactly how we are implementing it. And in it, we have the 100s building, the 150s building, and the 300s and 400s building. Our 100s building was already bid, and construction is scheduled to be starting this week or possibly next week. They're mobilizing right now. The contract was issued to them, I believe, about a week and a half ago. On the 100s building, our roof is scheduled to be repaired in summer of 2023. And then moving on to the 150s building, we did receive bids for this building, and this roof is also going to be repaired in the summer of 2023. And then our 300s and 400s building, we received bids last week. This is the buildings where we have our pilot classrooms, and the roofs on these buildings will be replaced. So these buildings have extremely aging roofs where it requires a full replacement. And we have that already bid out and scheduled for this summer as well. So to take you through of how we went about coordinating and getting feedback from our teaching staff on these classroom renovations, here's a sample of one of the 300 classrooms. And for each classroom, what we tried to do is designate specific areas where we would have our teacher's desk area, which you could see in green in the lower right corner, our projector and teaching wall locations, and our TAC wall locations. The finishes in each of these classrooms are to match the multi-story STEM building, our pilot classrooms, mailroom, and the well space. One of the key differences that I wanted to make sure I included the pilot classrooms on that list was in the mailroom and the well space, we have it's a vinyl tile, but it looks similar to a wood for the flooring. Now that's the typical flooring that we're using in all of our teachers' lounge areas or non-classroom areas. The carpeting was going to match what we have in the pilot classrooms or similar to what you see in the STEM building.
And CJ, I'm not familiar with what the pilot classrooms mean.
So if you remember from the STEM project, we had, I believe it's rooms 302 and 303 that were previously the administration interim offices. What we've done is we've converted those back into classrooms using the finishes that we are implementing through the classroom renovation project. So it gave our teachers and staff an opportunity to see what their room is going to end up looking like. And I wanted to also go over some of the bids. So we've bid out each of these projects individually just to get a fair value on each section or each building. And also in terms of scheduling, we know certain aspects of certain buildings are able to be worked on prior to summer. So for example, the first building that we bid out was the 100s building, which included 6 classrooms. These classrooms are a little bit different where there's science islands located in them that we will be removing. But going through our bid numbers, we have our building 300, which came in last week at $999,000, which is 17 classrooms, 1 staff lounge, and 1 workroom. We have building 400, which includes 9 classrooms and 1 staff lounge at $622,000. Building 150 came in at $689,000, which is 6 classrooms and a lecture hall, which is about the size of 2 classrooms. And then lastly, we have building 100, as I was saying, is 6 classrooms. So with all these spaces, that averages out to approximately $62,500 that we are spending per classroom or classroom size space for these renovations. Now, this number does not include the roofing. That is something that we're still getting bids, and we have yet to finalize the cost for.
Does that number include some of the tech, audiovisual needs of the classroom as well?
It does not include the tech or the audiovisual, so this is just strictly the construction portion of it. So one of the things we like to do, since we did bid out these projects separately, is we like to verify that the numbers that we're getting back from our contractors are competitive and that it's congruent through the previous projects that we bid. So by bidding the first building 100 out, which included 6 classrooms, we were able to see that those 6 classrooms, the bid came in at about, I think it was, because of the demo, I think it was around $65,000 per classroom. So we wanted to use those numbers to verify the other classrooms that we're bidding out as well. So if you do each of them separately, each building, the classroom's average price is right around that $60,000 mark. Where it gets a little weird is when you have unique areas like the lecture hall and the workrooms as well. And all of these projects will be taking place this summer. Like I said, building 100s will be starting during the school year, and there's 2 or 3 rooms in building 150 that will be starting during the school year as well.
So summer school is at a few different locations, but the high school will have summer school classes on their campus. But there's a lot of other rooms, just think 30 within the STEM building that can be used, potentially 600s and 700s as well. So as Elvia comes up, what I believe the board had asked is kind of just to give us an overview of the projects that we're working on through Measure G and K, and then to take a look as well at some of the revenue projections, knowing, and then if we had any, the ask was if we have any knowledge of, some of our projects that for most of our projects, we were under budget, so some of that money gets to be returned back. They're bond dollars, so they have to be used for facilities. And so as we receive some matching funds from the state for some of our playgrounds, and maybe some other grants that we have been applying for. So to give us a cash flow to take a look, we know, or we predict what we've already budgeted for the gymnasium of 21 million is not going to, in these construction dollars and inflation, is not going to probably suffice. We won't know that until the bids come in. Phase 2 of the weight room. And we know we've also talked about what could we do is there any dollars left to invest in any type of renovation to the PAC? We know we can't replace the PAC. We know it would be more cosmetic, kind of like what we're doing to some of the classrooms. And so would there even be any dollars there? Because at some point the board may have to create a recommendation for us to take a look at, do we take a look at trying to make sure we reserve some dollars for the PAC before we do the weight room per se, or whatnot. And so Elvia is going to go over a lot of that revenue projections, and then we've worked really hard to try to brainstorm, is there a path that has a lot of unknowns still to it, but could we see a path to seeing some of these projects beyond the scope of dollars? And so I'm going to turn it over to Elvia.
I have a quick question for CJ, though, and I'm sorry if I missed it. So we're going to start all this work, and it's all going to be completed by the time school starts?
Correct.
Okay.
We've been in coordination with the site administration, and we've been working on teacher moves, boxing up their stuff in their classroom, and where we're going to relocate it. If you remember, there's some portables like the 400s that we're removing. So what we're going to be doing in the footprint of where those are right now is we're going to temporarily bring in containers to store teachers' materials and stuff in their room over the summer while we renovate all of those classrooms and then move it back.
So I want to remind you, this is not a full modernization where it went down to the studs at the other classrooms, because remember, the needs at the high school aren't the same. A lot of work has been done over the number of years. And so if you back on the slide of what is this renovation, it's new paint on walls, new flooring, carpet, walk-off mats, tack wall, ceiling tiles, new whiteboards, relocating the short throw projector. Many of our classrooms, as you know, we've been trying to replace the short throw projectors, so replacing it. Now, rooms that haven't had that still would be more technology needs that we'd add on top of the dollar. So it seems like a lot, and it is, but it's not the same scope when we were doing almost half a year for 2-3 wings in a modernization of a school site. And we have actually, all of those have roof issues that we are working on.
Thank you very much, CJ, and thank you, Dr. Pulver, for summarizing. So as Dr. Pulver mentioned, it's been a while since we've provided the board with a quick summary of total revenues, facility-related revenues, as well as total projects, what we've completed, what was the total cost, how much savings we've captured from those projects. So I'm going to go over hopefully all of them, so give the board a better understanding of where we are. So when we look at our total projected revenues, we look at, of course, the bulk of our revenues for facilities is our Measure G and our Measure K. Previously sold bonds, as you can see on the screen, we have $76 million that we sold from the Measure G. That's the most newer one that was passed in 2018. And then for Measure K, we sold $20 million, bringing us a total of $96 million. We are currently right now working in, and you'll see it next week, the resolution to sell the last series of Measure G and Measure K bonds. We currently have under the Measure G $20 million, but because we do have, similar to closing costs, they're issuing costs, so we can't account for the full $20 million, nor the $3.6 million of Measure K, because we have closing costs per se. So $19.5 million is my best guess that we're going to be able to allocate to some of these projects. And for Measure K, it's $3.4 million. In addition to that, we have interest that we've accumulated since the first day we issued bonds up until my projections of the last issuance. So from the total projections, I anticipate to receive about $1.1 million. Keep in mind, the interest rates could go up, could go down. So that's our best guess up until the end of all these projects. So for the bond revenues, I anticipate a little over $120 million. Other fund revenue sources that we've accumulated, so Capital Improvement Fund, that's our Fund 40, which a few years ago, the board made that commitment to contribute $2 million, or even, I think at one point we might have been doing 4. I honestly can't remember, but the board made a commitment. We haven't made a contribution to Fund 40 for a while since we had to make some adjustments to the general fund. But overall, and also taking into consideration any interest or any additional revenues that we might generate in Fund 40, the bulk of it is probably just interest. We had $14.7 million in that particular fund. Then under our state matching fund, we had 6.2. We did recoup about $5 million in previous projects. We received that maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. And then just recently, we did receive about $1.2 million in, I think it was a CTEIG grant that we applied for the STEM building, and we received it. So that brought us over to a $6.2 million. And then, of course, we have our developer fees that we collect every year, and it averages anywhere between $200,000 and $300,000. Since we've raised the developer fee rates a couple years ago, and then we raised it again this year to the maximum that the state allows it, we've been able to generate some additional revenues in the developer fees. So total there, it's about $2.2 million. And then the battery backup rebate funds, we anticipate to receive about $111,000. Right now, we have received maybe about $600,000, but in the next 3 years, we anticipate to receive another $140,000 every year. Grand total is $911,000. And then, of course, we have the EDCC reserve funds that the board has committed to use towards facilities, and bringing us a grand total of 29, for other funds, 29 million. Grand total in revenues is $150 million that we have towards all the projects. So when we look at our completed projects, total budget and final cost. So our infrastructure project, we anticipated we budgeted $24 million. The final cost for that project came in a little over almost $23 million, but we were able to recoup $1.6 million. When it comes to the restrooms at LAE and Hopkinson, we originally budgeted $1.2 million. The total cost came in at $1.7 million, so we were over budget by $534,000. And the reason for that was, at the end of the day, when we looked at the restrooms, they were fabricated restrooms, and we wanted to make the restrooms look more aesthetically pleasing. So we added brick veneer, stucco, and so that brought the price slightly higher. And as you look at the bathrooms, they look pretty nice, and they go with the entire campus. As well as if we look at the elementary playground replacements, we budgeted $3.8 million. The total cost for all the projects came in at $3.1 million. We ended with $627,000 under budget. And then the district-wide battery backup projects, $2.9 million was the budget, and then came in at 2.8. We recouped $35,000. And then the aquatic center, that has been finalized. We budgeted $12.6 million. The total cost was $11.8 million, so we were able to recoup $882,000. Grand total, as far as these completed projects, we were able to recoup $2.6 million that we allocate back to now current projects. I'm sorry?
So the other list was the revenues, 150 million, and then these are the expenses. So we will capture this in a little bit, but yes,
Thank you. So here are our current projects that we're working on right now, which we have a budget, we have current expenses, and we have a balance. We don't know exactly how much money we'll be able to recoup until we're actually complete with these projects. So the STEM building, we originally budgeted with the GMP, the total lease back contract, and then all of our soft costs. We budgeted $67 million. Right now, with expenditures and encumbrances that we put aside, is $64,000 that we anticipate is going to be $64 million. Big difference there. So as of right now, we anticipate that we may have $2.6 million left over from the multi-story. We won't know until we're actually closed out the whole entire project, because there's still some lingering items like additional furniture. We added the mailroom expenditures there, so there are still some items that we have not been able to tie. And then when we look at the scoreboard replacements, we did two. We had allocated a budget of $390,000. We've done two replacements of scoreboards, and now we have one additional scoreboard we have not completed, and that's at the track and field. So we allocated $240,000 for that. It may be less, but at this time, that's the budget that we have for the scoreboard. And then program and construction management, we have to put money aside for that, for the construction and the program management. As we complete these projects, some of these, especially construction management, those expenditures are part of state reimbursement eligibility, so we'll be able to recoup hopefully with some of the state matching funds. Now, if we look at the new gymnasium, our budget right now is $21 million. We've expended $1.4 million. But that number is still unknown until all the bids come in. We'll know exactly if that budget is accurate at this moment. And then when we look at classroom renovation, we've added that budget at $13 million. As you can see, based on what Mr. Nolan previously presented, we are now starting to get all those bids. So those funds are gonna, those expenditures are gonna come out of that $13 million that we have set aside. And then, of course, projects that we have not allocated any funds towards is the Performing Arts Center renovations and the new weight room. Overall, total project cost with the projects that we've already completed, plus these projects that we have a budget for but not complete yet, it's $147 million. So in summary, if you look at a total estimated revenues is $150 million. Our completed project cost, $42 million. And current projected project cost is $104 million. That leaves us with a potential funds remaining of $2.9 million. Obviously, what we don't know right now is the actual cost of the new gym. If we have enough, that $21 million, if that's going to be sufficient. The PAC renovations, and of course the weight room. Those are items that we just don't have a dollar amount for.
Again, I want to remind you for that gymnasium, we did get a few prices, rough estimates. And do you remember what they were when we tried to shrink some of the needs back? They're
in the 24 to 26 million.
So our current budget of 21 may not reach that. Remember, we're also doing the weight room as a separate add-on, so I can't remember if those budgets, was that with the weight room or is that separate?
The 24 was with it separate.
Okay, with it separate. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But we have some more creative ways we're exploring, so take it away, Ms. Alvey.
So, potential pathways to future projects. This was a very clever title that Dr. Pulver came up with. I thought, oh, well, what a great title. Anyway, so when we look at potential funds remaining from our facilities projects, like the number I just mentioned, the 2.9, we haven't allocated those funds yet to a specific project. So if we add that, plus savings from the STEM building, which I haven't accounted for, which is $2.6 million. We do have the seismic mitigation funds. We don't know yet when we're going to receive them, but we have been approved for them. I just don't know exactly when we're going to get it. We're still working with West Group and our consultant about when we're going to receive those. That's $3 million. And then, of course, when we look at the arts, music discretionary block grant, that's also another potential additional funds that we can recoup that's only if those funds are not reduced. Right now, that grant is anticipated to be $5.9 million without the potential reduction. If it does get reduced, then we might not be able to use the $2 million. But if it doesn't get reduced, we could use the $2 million to at least help with the PAC improvements. Yes, Mrs. Catulli?
Sorry, Elvia. I thought we used some of the arts, music, and instructional materials grant to pay for the pensions one year.
We did.
Okay, so the $2 million is what we have left after we paid for the pension.
Yes, so it was $5.9 million. We took $2 million for pension, and then if we could use the $2 million for the PAC, and then we do have some allocations for, could potentially be arts, it could be music, or it could be textbook adoption, because remember, this is a discretionary. It could be used for instructional materials as well. And then playground matching, state matching. We just recently received news that we are anticipated to receive at least 500,000. One is for the Weaver, and the other one, do you remember, Myra? Rossmore Playgrounds. We did receive state matching funds for those, about $500,000. We still have additional state matching funds, but we're still on the docket for those if there's a state bond available. So if you look at the total, that's $11 million. So we were just between Dr. Pulver and myself, we were exploring what can we do with that potential $11 million. So if the actual cost of the new gym is an additional $3, it could be $4, it could be $5, we don't know. But at this point, $3 million we could allocate towards the new gym. For the PAC, we could potentially allocate $5 million for renovations. We don't know what that could look like. We have done some improvements to the PAC, which Mrs. Gonzalez is going to speak about, what we've done so far with CTE funds, with some of our deferred maintenance funds, routine restricted maintenance funds. So we've made some improvements, but of course it's not enough because it does need some improvements. So $5 million is our best guess that we could potentially put some money into it. And then the weight room, $3 million. So that brings us to an $11 million total.
And so how we came up with this, it's really just knowing that I've heard comments from the board that doing nothing to the PAC doesn't seem like that's going to be a reality. And so what could, if that is kind of the will of the board, what could we use with one-time dollars or bond dollars or facility dollars to try to help us achieve something? Because we still don't know exactly how much the renovations of the classrooms we think we're on target given the approach that we're taking there. But if that was the case, that's why we said maybe what if we just earmarked $2 million of the 5.9 to help with the PAC, because there's going to be other art needs and the pension, as you already talked about, and some textbook adoption. Is $5 million enough? We don't really know, but we're just trying. It's trying to find something to do there. And let's say that we come out and find out it needs $7 million. Well, maybe the board's going to have to decide. Then maybe we don't. We hold off on the weight room a little bit longer, or things of that sort. But we were trying to find, if you're trying to find a pathway to try to do something to all the different spaces, because there are needs in a variety of ways. Here is one pathway that we've brainstormed together. There may be others, but we tried to use what are some potential real-time dollars. Some of it's contingent. Would we really receive the $3 million of seismic mitigation funds? And some of it could be more. But we wanted to be conservative. The seismic mitigation might be 3.6, 3.4, yeah. But we want to be conservative for now. There could be some, maybe the remaining funds from the STEM building will be more than the 2.6. But for now, we wanted to give a conservative estimate, and then it just welcomes more dollars when we have options. But we're just trying to provide some hope that possibly we can do a little bit of different things. Because I think prior, until we really sat down and put all these numbers together, we weren't sure exactly what could, if there would be much for something. So it's just our best brainstorm as this way to try to create a potential pathway, for lack of a better phrase.
This is great. We need to be creative and innovative and conservative because we have more needs than we have money.
Correct.
And I'm just going to say it right now, clearing out all those funds to take care of leaky roofs and our maintenance on all of our sites makes me very nervous. I think.
But we're not. I want to be clear. We're not clearing out our deferred maintenance fund. We did not. No. We're not capturing deferred maintenance dollars here.
Okay. Well, and you're not taking. That's just. Okay.
And a routine restricted maintenance.
Right. No, those are completely separate funds.
Okay, because
completely separate.
We have. Yeah, since I have been on this board, we have been renovating all of our sites, and they need to be renovated, right? Because they get used and abused by the fact that they're schools, and that's what happens in them. And so I just want to make sure we have money to keep up. That was a promise we made with our last bond, and I think it's a good one. I'm sure a future board is going to put another bond out because we still have lots of needs, and I'll vote for it. But we need to be responsible, and we need to try to make sure that we can maintain as well as we can what we already have done.
That is correct. We do still are going to maintain the deferred maintenance fund of $1 million every year. And then the routine restricted maintenance fund, we put 3% of the entire general fund.
Now, that being said, we may have to think about, it's been $1 million of deferred maintenance. And as we know, the costs keep going up.
Yeah.
So at some point, we may have to start increasing that just to keep up. But we do have to pledge to maintain our facilities. We can't let our roofs get in the condition that they are now.
Right.
At the high school. As you can see, we've been renovating, we are redoing our roofs on a 10-year basis now, and we're creating that cycle. So we have to be able to maintain that.
Yes, Ms.
So I just my opinion, I don't think it would be very equitable to do a new weight room before we did anything to the PAC. That is my personal opinion. I hope we can do them both, but I just don't see that being equitable. And then the other question I had for you, and I'm going to ask you to get your crystal ball out. Do you have any indication that there might be more matching ability to have matching funds coming down? Because I've heard through that there's some legislation that they may be coming out with another matching fund bond.
Right. There is a potential of 2024, a state matching bond.
Right.
Yeah, there is one.
But that would be a brand new bond, so we can't even get in line. Right.
Correct.
Okay.
That's my understanding. Right.
However,
I believe that's my
Ms.
understanding.
Galisa, can you explain what we already have in the queue? Should state
yes,
matching
absolutely.
dollars become available, which they aren't yet, but we are in the queue for it.
For about $11 million. Yes. No, thank you.
So what I just want to share is we're not in a position yet. We'll have to really ask you for direction yet. We just wanted to give you more information because we don't even know what the price of the gymnasium is, what the price of the weight room is. And so we don't really, I think and exactly the seismic mitigation funds. And so it may be, closer to the fall where we'll have some more concrete information where we could make a look at that. I just want to remind you that as we're doing the gymnasium, I 100% agree we need to ensure that we're doing something for the PAC. I'm not sure if it has to be before or after, because when you already have if we're trying to maximize the use of resources, if we already have a contractor there doing the gymnasium and doing if we realize we have funds that we can allocate for the PAC and for our potential weight room, it may not be the best use of district dollars to not do it while it's there. So we'll just have to make sure that I think it's more about making sure we can protect dollars for those projects, which I 100% agree with as well. We have to do, and as Ms. Galicia has walked the Performing Arts Center not too long ago and has her eyes have wide opened about some of the various needs. So. But our next workshop, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things we've been trying to do to the PAC, more of the audiovisual tech, through some other use of creative dollars, so that we are doing some investments to the PAC in some other ways as well that Myra is going to present to all of you on.
And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Myra, who's going to present the PAC, what we've done to the PAC in the last, I think this year. Thank you very much.
So I don't mean anything negative, but my husband's seat broke on him Saturday night.
Myra, before we get started, can I ask one question that I don't know if you're going to address? When both of you walked this, you talked to the technical specialist, it said in Week in Review. All along the way, have we been getting input from drama the band and jazz and choir groups, and are they in agreement on needs, or are they vying for different things?
So currently, I guess it's a combination of all of them. What I'm going to present right now, it's actually an investment for not only for the PAC, but it also for the technical theater class. Is he ready?
But to just quickly expand on that answer is, we're also looking for a sound consultant to be able to help us.
Correct.
Because the PAC is used for a variety of reasons. So what jazz might want from the sound, to what show choir might want from sound, to what drama, they do compete. They're not always the same. And so if we have a space that's utilizing as the venue for all of those, that's no single person's expertise. And so we're looking to bring in a consultant to help inform us more in that expertise.
And we have had those initial meetings with that consultant, and I have a meeting with him this week as well to really try to unify all those needs to a working solution for the PAC.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, President Forehand, esteemed members of the board, Dr. Pulver, members of Executive Cabinet, and guests. It's my pleasure this afternoon to present the most recent Performing Arts Center upgrades. So for our high school, the Performing Arts Theater is a facility that features lighting, stage, backstage, audiovisual equipment, sound booth, and audio seating. Our capacity in the theater is 500, and most recently, the Performing Arts Center received building repairs and technology upgrades to support and ignite visual, performing, and applied arts for our students.
Much more is needed.
So most recently, we ordered and completed some technology upgrades utilizing our Career Technical Education Incentive Grant. We purchased MacBook Pros, Apple iPads, Mac Mini storage, wireless microphone systems, wireless headsets, similar to the picture that's there, and it's for live event communication. Battery chargers so that in between events that they have extra battery storage so they can change intermittently throughout a performance. High quality lavalier microphones and long-range wireless presenter control. And just recently we were talking about, Elvia and I met with Mrs. Taylor Syka, and she was mentioning that the wireless microphone system and the microphones are actually more enhanced than what they currently have now, and it's to expand their current microphone system so that they're able to train the students in sound mixing with utilizing a large number of microphones, because the industry standard right now is that all performances have individual microphones. We also purchased some designer stage lighting, which is the image that we have there, and it's to help them to help enhance the lighting effects and programming. We purchased specifically control cables for lighting and visual, touchscreen monitors, microphone stands. We also purchased a Lumen laser projector, which is a higher resolution projector than the industry standard. And it allows for projection mapping, for scenic designs, for projecting images in the background. And when I was talking to Ms. Syka, she was mentioning that they can now save money on lumber, not having to buy the lumber, because now, they have to buy lumber to create their sets, but now with the projection mapping, they can map or project a building, a certain image, or a design in the background. We also purchased a lighting control desk, which helps with the complexity of lighting shows, which just recently they used in the extravaganza. So as I mentioned earlier, all these upgrades are utilized in their technical theater class as well. And just recently when we were talking to Ms. Saika, she was mentioning a quick little story I like to share because it was heartwarming. She mentioned that there was a student who is a little more timid, shy, and once the student learned about the new upgrades that they were receiving, the student was giddy and just excited and just wanting to participate and engage more. So that was a heartwarming story to hear and to listen, and I thought I'd share that with you as well. So the total investments using our CT funds for technology upgrades is $170,000.
And I don't know if you know for sure, but we were at the jazz performance, Mrs. Davidson and I, on Saturday night, and there was a lot of, I was really impressed with the projection that they used on both sides, on the back. A lot of the lighting seemed to be, I thought maybe they rented it because it did seem more
Up
professional.
to par or,
Yeah.
So yes, this is what the upgrades were able to provide. Yes. And some of the building upgrades that we also recently completed were the west hallway or corridor and dressing rooms. What we provided was new flooring, wall coverings, paint, ceiling tiles, and acoustical tiles. And you'll see the before picture and the after picture when we completed that scope of work. The dressing rooms I did not have a picture of, but yes, the dressing rooms, we did provide new flooring, paint. And some of the building repairs that we have completed, we painted the stage. We did some maintenance on the roll-up doors. It's the roll-up door that's behind the stage, the large one. It was squeaky and loud, so they did some maintenance on us to help reduce the squeakiness and the loud sounds. They did some repair on the hand railings. Some of the hand railings were coming off the wall, so they had to do some patchwork and adhere them back to the wall. They painted the black box platform decks. And as I mentioned earlier, dressing rooms, they did some paint, some acoustic. And then unfortunately, recently with the rains, there were some leaks. So we had to do some roof repairs. The site submitted work orders and they were requesting that that we look into the aisle safety lights. Currently, they're using like a rope light to make sure that there's some sort of safety lighting for guests or for anyone that's attending a performance. The sconce light do not work, so they're requesting as well that they repair those. And there are a few electrical outlets that are not working. So they're also submitted a work order to so that we can look into troubleshooting them and repairing them. We are presenting at the April 4th board meeting a couple of contractors for them to troubleshoot the scope of work and do some repairs for those. And we are soliciting proposals for repairing the door to the black box and concert band hall. The door right now is warped, and they asked if it can be replaced. And we will be conducting that work in spring break so that it's a non-student day. We're not jeopardizing the learning integrity, so we'll get that taken care of during spring break. New flooring in the mop closet. The flooring is really outdated, really old, so they requested to replace with new tiles. New carpet in the house and lobby. We're looking at the estimated completion dates of summer of this year. And power and lighting in the woodshed. So currently they do have some storage in the woodshed which have no, it doesn't have power. They're looking more for a permanent solution so they can have power, lighting, and we're looking into completing that in April of this year. And I was gonna say, facilities this summer will be busy.
Some of the upcoming building repairs and upgrades, CJ just last week met with a vendor to go over the digital video display marquee, looking into options, the size of it, how it's going to look, what's going to cost. So that's currently in the works. And just as we mentioned earlier, we're bringing in an acoustic engineer consultant. It is a shared space, so we do need a professional to let us know what kind of acoustics we need so that we can be able to provide that for everyone who's sharing the space. Power to the black box booth. Currently, they're using extension cords and they're asking for a more permanent power solution. So facilities is also looking to ways on providing them power into that space. Enlarging the spot booth window. Currently, the side would like for us to widen the crow's nest to fit 2 spotlights. However, we do have to explore options to see if it's feasible, if it has to go through DSA. So that's currently in the works of being reviewed. Painting the exterior of the building. The site did mention that they have limited space. They requested a storage container. However, we are looking into ways of reducing having storage containers. Maybe we can possibly use a portable, but they are asking for proper storage so they can put their set pieces, costumes, and props. And lastly, restrooms. We know we need restrooms. It's a need, and we need renovations. Facilities is currently looking into the feasibility of whether or not we can expand on restrooms, but in the meantime, they do need some work. And those spaces are being used, or the restrooms are being used. So we're looking into renovating. So in this summer, we're going to provide new paint, new fixtures, new flooring, and new partitions. And the restrooms, correct. And I do want to take this quick opportunity to thank Dan Bennett, our Ed Tech coordinator, CJ and his facility maintenance team, and our purchasing department for their successfully completing these upgrades and continuance of them for our students to thrive. Thank you.
Just thank you both, all 3 of you, for this monumental work, because I can't imagine. I know my very tiny ability to know what the needs are is like nothing compared to the expansive input you must get. So thank you for everything you're doing. It's a big challenge.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Oh. Thank you.
Move into closed session where we will discuss labor negotiations, public employee discipline, student discipline, and then a mid-year superintendent evaluation. Thank you all.